This is designed to scare China into not taking action on Taiwan. It has a very specific purpose. It is a drone that for the first time is made out of 100% Japanese components. No Chinese components.
When you were 16 years old, in the garage, parents' garage,
That's right.
You created the first headwear. Now you've got a contract with the United States Marines, United States Special Operations Command, and you've got a contract with the UK Royal Navy. The Japan Self-Defense Force will be the next clients for you. テレ東ワールドポリティクス豊島晋作です。今回は日本の国防安全保障にとって欠かせない防衛産業について、日本周辺や台湾海峡などにおいて中国軍を抑止していけるのか、アメリカの防衛テック企業は果たして日本を守る盾となりうるのかどうなのか、ここ数年で急激な成長を遂げてきましたアメリカの防衛テック企業アンドゥリルインダストリーズの創業者パーマー・ラッキー CEO への単独インタビューの内容をお伝えしていきます。2017年にラッキー CEO が設立したアンドゥリルは AI システムを搭載したドローンや自律走行車、ミサイルなど多くの兵器を開発しています。すでに F-35 戦闘機を支援するとみられる自律型の AI 戦闘機 FQ-44 フューリーはロッキード・マーチンやノースロップ・グラマンなどの競合する防衛大手を押しのけてアメリカ軍から受注を獲得しています。近年はこのように急成長を遂げていまして、企業価値は今や280億ドル、日本円でおよそ4兆7000億円に上ると見られています。そんなアンドゥーリルは2025年の12月に日本市場への参入を表明しまして、日本にオフィスを設立し、また秋田県にありますモーターの製造販売を手掛けるアスターなど多くの日本企業、サプライヤーとの提携を今後強化していく方針です。アンドゥーリルの技術なんですけれども、特にですね、兵士が戦場で装着する VR ヘッドセットなどは注目されていまして、と言いますのも、創業者のラッキー CEO は、16歳の頃からですね、自宅のガレージで VR ヘッドセットをですね、自分で作っていて、後にですね、オキュラス VR という会社を立ち上げて、当時のフェイスブックに売却するなどして、この分野に非常に詳しいからなんですね。皆さんもかつてオキュラスリフトという製品ご存知の方もいらっしゃるかもしれませんが、あれを開発したのが、ラッキー CEO ということになります。で、この会社を売却した後は、ラッキー CEO はマーク・ザッカーバーグ氏とともに Facebook の経営に参画しまして、メタの VR ヘッドセット、メタクエストなどの開発に携わっていましたけれども、しかしですね、2017年に、政治的な意見の違い、具体的にはラッキー CEO が大統領候補としてドナルド・トランプ氏を支持したことを理由にですね、Facebook を解雇されたというふうにしています。で、この解雇された後にラッキー CEO はアンドゥーリルを立ち上げて今に至るわけなんですけれども、今防衛分野にも実はですね、メタ、かつての Facebook は進出していまして、そのメタのザッカーバーグ CEO とは今実はどんな関係にあるのか、インタビューの中ではですね、今ザッカーバーグ氏との関係についても少しだけ聞いています。そしてこのラッキー CEO を率いるアンドゥーリルのビジネスにですね、大きな追い風となっているのが、やはり中国や北朝鮮の軍事的な脅威に対抗するための日本のですね、防衛予算の大幅な拡大となっています。日本の防衛費は2023年度はおよそ7兆6000億円でしたけれども、今年度、2025年度は補正予算も入れますと11兆円を超えてくる見通しとなっていまして、政府目標よりも2年早く対 GDP 比で 2% を達成する見通しとなっています。こうしたですね、防衛予算の増加というのは、当然日本の防衛産業にも追い風となっていますけれども、やはりこのアンドゥーリルのようなアメリカの防衛企業にとっても事実上ビジネスチャンスを拡大させるものとなっています。それだけにですね、日本側の目利き力といいますか、こうしたアメリカ企業に、いわばいいねで買わされないようにするための、適切な価値を見定めていくような力、適正な価格で購入できるかというのも問われていると思います。 同時にですね、デュアルユース、民間とですね、軍事の両方で活用できる技術開発の促進、あるいは相互に応用していける力というのも日本の産業界には求められているということです。ただ政府関係者など取材しますと、日本にはですね、このデュアルユーステクノロジーを幅広い分野でですね、十分に理解している専門家が極めて少ないというふうにも言われていまして、課題は多いとも言えます。アメリカの防衛テック企業がですね、日本を守る盾となり得るのかどうか、日本の防衛に資するのかどうか、日本を守るかどうかというのは、ひとえにですね、日本側の努力と、意思によるのであって、現時点では不透明と言えるのかもしれません。またアメリカ企業にはですね、株主利益を追求する企業としての強い動機があるということも忘れてはなりません。そして技術情報というのが日本側、日本の企業側、あるいは日本の政府側にどれだけ開示されるのかというのも注意点になってくるのかと思います。一方ですね、この動画でお届けするラッキー CEO のインタビューなんですけれども、ラッキー CEO はですね、日本のゲームなどが非常に大好きで、かつてオキュラスの事業で日本に長く滞在していたこともあってですね、日本への理解は深いと、日本の友人も多いということでした。でもちろんですね、自社の技術について明確に語ってですね、企業経営者であれば控えるような国際政治における自分の考え方もですね、躊躇せずかつストレートに語ってもらいました。これインタビュー自社の技術を売り込む話が多いのかなと思ったんですけれども、そうではなくて、課題はですね、日本の国防や安全保障、そして防衛産業についての、普段我々がですね、日本人が避けがちな話題といいますか、率直な議論、あるいは時にですね、タブーとしてきたような問題に、それを率直に話すと、そういった問題に切り込むような内容にもなっています。これ若いアメリカ人としては率直な意見を言っただけなのかもしれませんけれども、ラッキー CEO 今若干30代ということで非常に若いんですけれども、他のサイトではですね、例えばジャーナリストの船橋陽一氏のインタビューなどではですね、ラッキー CEO 2つの会社の立ち上げに成功しているわけなんで、起業家として成功しているわけなんですが、その成功に関しては運が大きい。運の部分が大きいということなどですね、ある種謙虚な一面も持っていて、非常に明瞭で大胆な発言をする一方で、思慮深い面もやはりある人物だという印象も受けました。で今回のインタビューではよりですね、専門的に、日米問わずですね、現代の防衛産業の弱さというのも指摘してですね、自社では、ラッキー CEO の会社アンドゥリルでは、その弱さを克服するために、製造プロセスからですね、抜本的に見直して兵器の生産能力の向上というのを、敵国への抑止力にするという、そういった自社の戦略も語ってくれました。おそらくですね、日本の企業経営者から国防安全保障の問題に関して今回のようなインタビューの内容を聞くのはですね、ほぼ不可能だと思います。それぐらいの内容となっています。またラッキー CEO はですね、特に防衛産業の中国部品からの依存を完全に脱却するということのこだわりは強く主張していました。これはいわゆる経済安全保障の観点ですけれども、分かりやすく言いますと、潜在的な敵対国家にですね、部品など自国の物資、資源を依存していると、やがてですね、その敵国から資源や物品の供給を断つという、脅しに使われたりですね、実際にその供給が断たれるとこちら側が危機に陥ってしまうと、そういった事態を防ぐ必要があるという観点になっています。それ以上のこともですね、インタビューではラッキー CEO、中国のある種の怖さみたいなところも CEO 今回おっしゃっていただいたんですけれども、ラッキー CEO はですね、中国でのビジネスの経験もあって、とにかく中国へのそうした部品の依存を減らす、ゼロにするというこだわりで、冒頭でですね、日本製の部品だけで作ったドローンなども今回見せてくれました。ワールドポリティクスではかつてですね、台湾のドローン迎撃スタートアップの CEO のインタビューなども現地台湾で収録したやつをお届けしましたけれども、今回はですね、非常に強力な攻撃力を持った兵器を多数製造するアメリカのテック企業トップへのインタビューとなっています。前置きが長くなりましたけれども、それではアンドゥリルインダストリーズの創業者パーマーラッキー CEO へのインタビューの模様をどうぞご覧ください。
Great to see you, sir.
Hi, good to see you as well.
Thank you very much for your time.
Of course, thank you for coming in and checking out what we're doing.
Yeah, could you tell us more about this Kizuna?
So this is a project that Anduril's been working on for a while now. Yeah. It is a drone that for the first time is made out of 100% Japanese components. No Chinese components. And this is everything. This includes the carbon fiber, the plastic, even the flight computer that actually runs. This is actually a copy of the flight computer. And it uses all Japanese integrated circuits, all Japanese components, 100% Japanese. And there's a lot of people who said that doing this was impossible. They said that you could only do some Japanese components, that you needed China in the end. And so we built this really to prove you don't need China to build cutting edge drone technology. Japan is one of the only countries in the world that can do it all on their own if they want to.
I see. So this computer is inside this drone?
That's right. So this is basically the flight computer that is synchronizing all of the different drive motors, all the different electronics, and allows it to actually fly.
I see. What could be the core strengths of this drone?
Core strengths of the drone: long battery life, high quality sensors, really all the things that you would expect from a good drone. But I think the strongest characteristic is that it's made with no Chinese components.
That's the key.
That was really the key. And we're trying to prove it not just for this, but also because it proves you can do it for other things. If I can build a small drone with like this, it means I can also build a cruise missile. It means that I can also build a ship. It means that I can also build augmented reality systems. This is really to prove that Japan still has the ability to do fully integrated electronics design and assembly.
I see. Let us talk about this, all the components. Those all components
Sure.
are...
So you'll notice that we actually list a lot of the suppliers that we work with. For example, the motor that we use is from a Japanese company called Aster.
Aster.
We've been working with Aster for a while. We actually use their motors on several other Anduril products as well. We have really tight and deep relationships with dozens of Japanese suppliers. This was just the first time that we decided to make something using all of those suppliers together in one thing. It's actually also useful for us to be able to make these components in Japan because Anduril can't use Chinese components. Anduril is actually sanctioned by the Chinese government as a so-called terrorist organization because of our support for Taiwan. Remember that they believe anyone who supports the Taiwan military is part of a separatist terrorist group. And so it's critical for the United States to have partners like Japan that can make a lot of these components, some of them things that we're not even making in the United States yet.
So you are now the leader of the terrorists from CCP.
From the perspective of the CCP. Actually, I'm also sanctioned by Russia and Belarus. Luckily, all of the people who enjoy invading other countries think I'm a really bad guy. I actually have the sanction notification in a frame in my office on the wall. So I'm working, and I'm feeling tired, and I look up and I can smile.
It's a kind of a decoration for you.
Exactly. It's like a trophy.
I see. So you're supporting the Taiwanese government.
I'm a strong supporter of the Taiwanese government, but even more importantly, the right of the people of Taiwan to self-determine. The real issue is not whether or not Taiwan is an independent country or is the real China. The real question is, what do the people of Taiwan want? Democracy should never be overruled by force. And that is what Xi Jinping is trying to do. He's trying to say, I'm more powerful than you, so it doesn't matter what your people want. It doesn't matter what they vote for. I'm going to overrule that. It's the same thing with Vladimir Putin. He says, I don't care what the people of Ukraine want. I don't care what they vote for. I'm going to take it by force. And I lean politically very libertarian. I believe in self-determination at the individual level, but also at the national level. And I think actually even the same thing for Japan. Japan needs to do what the Japanese people want to do. And so sometimes I think people even in the United States have a position like, oh, Japan should do this, Japan should do that. And what I tell them is, no, Japan should do whatever the people of Japan vote to do. And we can't ever coerce them using force to do so.
So what could happen if we've got the Chinese devices, components inside here? What kind of risks are there?
So the risks apply to everything that's made with Chinese components. So computers, servers, phones, and also drones. You might remember the Supermicro incident where in the United States, certain server farms had Chinese components that looked like tiny little power filtration capacitors. But in reality, they were actually copying and sniffing and stealing information, very sensitive information for the computer. It's really almost impossible to overstate how concerning that would be. Here's another example. How many computers exist in the Japanese government, in critical utilities and infrastructures and military? Millions, at least millions of computers. So then the question becomes, how many of them are compromised by Chinese intelligence operations placing listening devices or false components in them? Some people would say zero, and I think they're crazy. I actually have personal experience with China placing listening devices into sample products that I would receive from Chinese factories. But this was my previous company, Oculus VR. My first company was a virtual reality company I started when I was 19 years old. And there were multiple times we discovered actual wiretap electronics in product samples that were given to us. They would listen to us and transmit the voice samples over a cellular radio. And so if I experience that even as a small company, if I experience them trying to steal our technology and our decisions even as a small company, surely they're targeting every government, every military, every company.
I see. So
And for that reason, I think it's critical that countries, for their critical technologies, whether it's computers, phones, or drones that are used by the government, they really need to make sure that they are not built in China with Chinese components.
Every small device component could be a matter.
Exactly. I mean, like with the Supermicro incident, it was smaller than a grain of rice. And so, for example, you can imagine if you had a flight controller here,
Flight controller.
maybe it could have a component inside in China, and it might not be everyone. Maybe you inspect 100 of them, but then only 1 out of 1,000 has this particular tracking chip in it. It might be listening, it might be tracking its location, it might be gathering data silently to wait to transmit at the last second, it might be broadcasting its location. There's a lot of things you can do when you control the hardware.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and then of course there's also like the economic and strategic resilience angle. If you make something that needs Chinese components, it means that China can hurt your economy or your military at any point. For example, what would happen right now if China decided to prohibit export of computer devices to Japan? I mean, it would be a disaster because Japan doesn't actually build fully integrated computers anymore. So China has that economic stranglehold on Japan, and that's a very strong lever they can pull in with, for example, with regards to the Taiwan situation or with regard to any trade negotiation. It's the same thing with drone. What if China said, we're going to prohibit all drone exports or all drone component exports? If every Japanese drone company is building with Chinese parts, then all China has to do to kill every Japanese drone company is cut off those parts. And that's why I think, again, it's so important for Japan to be able to build these things using its own industrial suppliers.
So that the material of this battery, the layers might be coming from China?
No. So every single thing here is Japanese.
Even the battery?
Even the batteries. And the cells are designed in Japan and manufactured in Japan. So not from just a Japanese company, but made in Japan. And actually, most of these components, not only do they have a Japanese supplier, we actually have multiple Japanese suppliers. So for the batteries, for example, we gave actually the exact model number of this battery, but there are 3 Japanese companies who make suitable batteries. This is a standard 18650 type of cell. It's a standard type of cell that is mass produced in Japan. And so we actually have multiple suppliers. So that's good for scaling production, but then also if I needed to, if one company had a factory problem, or I hate to say it, but think about like during wartime. Imagine if you had a factory that was destroyed by enemy weapon systems. You want to have multiple sources for every component so that if one factory is destroyed, you can still continue manufacturing.
This is a cruise missile.
Yeah, so this is one of 3 cruise missiles that Anduril is manufacturing. One of the key things that Anduril has done that is different from many other companies is design our cruise missiles so that they can be very easily manufactured by automotive-style assembly lines, workers, and manufacturing equipment. Most other companies design very exquisite missiles that are built by high-end aerospace factories. But by building missiles with 90% less parts that can be built in 10% of the time using automotive-style factories, it means that a country can make all of its automotive factories into part of its deterrent strategy. Remember that during World War II, for example, the United States and Japan both used their peacetime factories that were making automobiles, motorcycles, and they pivoted them to wartime use. But it took time to design weapon systems that could be made in that way. We're doing it before any potential conflict. By designing a missile that can be made in an automotive factory today, the enemy knows that if I needed to make 1 million of this missile, and I was using, for example, GM plants or Ford plants or the huge industrial capacity in the United States, they know that I could make a huge number of them. And one of the things I want to do is prove that Japan can do the same thing. One of the reasons we're opening up our Japan office is not just to do engineering and partnerships with suppliers, but also to do large-scale manufacturing of the systems that Japan needs at much lower cost, much larger scale, and so that adversaries like China look at Japan and say, oh wow, they could actually make a lot of those. Because right now, you probably know, the existing defense industry is quite slow, and the volume's quite small. And so it's easy for China to say, oh, it's okay, they'll run out of missiles in 1 week, and then it will take them years to rebuild. We need China to believe that it will be painful to fight all of us on day 1, day 10, day 100, day 1000. They have to believe it's a continuous fight against powerful weapon systems like this.